In 2004, a Florida stripper owned 5 houses she could not afford. A strawberry picker making $14,000 a year got a $724,000 mansion loan. No questions asked. Wall Street did not care. They wrapped that dog poop in gold foil and sold it as a safe bet. The real estate boom was not a market. It was a casino with rigged machines. Everyone played until the whole Jenga Tower crashed. But the craziest part is, the same mistakes are sneaking back in, block by block. So how did trash loans become gold, and why does this matter right now? Picture the economy as a giant Jenga tower. In the early 2000s, the Federal Reserve decided to throw a wild party and turn the cash taps wide open. Interest rates dropped to just 1% by 2003. Suddenly, banks had more money than they knew what to do with. Cheap cash flooded the system, and everyone wanted a piece of the action. House prices shot up in double digits, year after year. Buying a home stopped being about finding a place to live. It became the hottest get-rich-quick scheme in town. Why save when you could buy a house, watch the price soar, and flip it for a profit? The banks were not worried about risk. As long as prices kept climbing, nobody cared what was hiding at the bottom of the tower. The myth was everywhere. Real estate only goes up. The foundation of the economy was quietly swapped out for styrofoam blocks, but nobody noticed. The higher the tower got, the more everyone cheered, blind to the fact that the base was turning to mush. Mortgage brokers handed out loans like free candy at a parade. No job? No proof of income? Even better. Enter the era of the ninja loan, meaning no income, no job, no assets required. Banks did not care if you could pay. As long as you could fog a mirror, you got a house. Take the infamous Florida stripper, approved for 5 homes, all on floating rates, no questions asked. Or the California strawberry picker making $14,000 a year, suddenly holding the keys to a $724,000 mansion. The only thing more inflated than the housing market was the list of people who had no business owning a house. By 2006, subprime loans made up 20% of all mortgages. Lenders were so desperate to push out loans, they skipped income checks entirely. It was dog poop wrapped in gold foil, and everyone pretended it smelled like roses. The system did not just bend the rules, it shredded them and threw the pieces into the blender. These toxic loans were about to become the main ingredient in Wall Street's next recipe. Wall Street turned into a kitchen run by mad scientists in suits. They looked at toxic loans, ninja, subprime, liar loans, and thought, let's make a stew. So they dumped thousands of these rotten mortgages into a giant pot and called it mortgage-backed securities, MBS. It didn't matter if the ingredients were spoiled. If you slice the stew into enough pieces, the top layer looks safe. That is a tranche. The top 70% got stamped AAA, supposedly the safest rating, like calling gas stations sushi organic. The leftovers, the really nasty bits, got recycled into a collateralized debt obligation, CDO. That is just taking the stew nobody wanted and making a new stew out of it. Dog wrapped in cat, served with a garnish of denial. The ratings agencies played along, slapping gold stars on whatever Wall Street cooked up. Investors around the world lined up for a taste, convinced they were buying filet mignon. But underneath, it was still the same old fish, just with a new label. Dr. Michael Burry was not interested in the party. While everyone else counted easy profits, he was locked in his office, buried in mortgage data. He pored over thousands of loan tapes, actual spreadsheets showing who got these mortgages, how much they made, and when their payments would jump. What he found was ugly. FICO scores below 600. Early defaults spiking to 10%, sometimes 15%, even before the teaser rates reset. Burry saw the time bomb ticking, millions of loans about to explode when payments doubled. Instead of running, he did something nobody else thought to do. He bought insurance on the whole mess. Credit default swaps. The banks were happy to take his money. They called him Dr. Doom behind his back. They thought he was nuts, collecting millions in premiums against what they believed was a sure thing. Burry just stared at the numbers. He knew gravity always wins. Suddenly, the music cut out. Teaser rates on those shiny new mortgages hit their expiration date. Overnight, monthly payments that started at $1,200 shot up to $2,800. People who thought they owned a golden ticket found themselves drowning. Defaults exploded. The so-called safe investments Wall Street sold around the world turned out to be empty pizza boxes. Worthless. Panic spread. In July 2008, lines snaked down the street outside IndyMac Bank in California. Seniors stood in the baking sun, begging police to let them withdraw their savings before the vaults ran dry. Over $1 billion vanished from the bank in days. Then came September 15th. Lehman Brothers, 158 years old, had survived the Civil War, 2 world wars, and the Great Depression, and then collapsed in a single weekend. The world's 5th largest investment bank vaporized. Credit markets froze. ATM machines nearly stopped working. The Jenga Tower did not just wobble, it crashed through the floor, and nobody knew if it was bottomless. Wall Street's tower crashed, but the people who built it did not tumble with it. 10 million Americans lost their homes, and families slept in cars. The government fired up the money cannon. The $700 billion TARP bailout made sure banks could keep the lights on the taxpayers' dime. AIG, the insurance giant that bet on the wrong side of the casino, got $182 billion. Their executives handed themselves $165 million in bonuses, straight out of the rescue fund. The logic was simple. Retention bonuses. Can't lose the geniuses who just blew up the economy. Richard Fuld, the chief executive officer of Lehman Brothers, walked away with over $500 million in cash and stock before the collapse. He kept his mansions. The rest of the country got foreclosure notices and empty bank accounts. In total, $11 trillion in household wealth vanished. Retirement plans, college funds, gone. The only thing more scarce than justice was a banker in handcuffs. Out of all the chaos, only one mid-level trader saw jail time. The real winners were the same suits who loaded the tower with dynamite in the first place. The Jenga Tower didn't stay in the rubble. Wall Street is already rebuilding it, this time with new blocks and a few fresh sticks of dynamite hidden inside. Start with commercial real estate. $1.8 trillion in office loans are coming due from 2024 to 2026. Empty skyscrapers haunt downtowns from New York to San Francisco, thanks to remote work. Vacancy rates are over 20% in some cities. That is a lot of zombie buildings, worth less than the loans stacked against them. If banks cannot refinance, the defaults will ripple everywhere. Next up, auto loans. Delinquencies just hit 6.65%, smashing the old record from 2008. The new poster child is not a stripper with 5 houses. It is a gig worker with an $80,000 truck and no steady paycheck. Lenders wrapped up these risky car loans into securities, just like they did with mortgages. Sound familiar? And then there is the new chef's special, CLOs, collateralized loan obligations. Same recipe, different meat. Instead of bad mortgages, it is shaky corporate debt bundled up and labeled AAA. The CLO market is nearly $1 trillion. If the economy stumbles, those blocks start to wobble. The tower is swaying again, and gravity never forgets. Wall Street's tower never stays rebuilt for long. Right now, $1.8 trillion in commercial real estate debt and record auto delinquencies are the new explosives. The game keeps changing, but the rules don't. Gravity always wins. So what block are you standing on? Drop your thoughts below.